This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thank you so much for joining us this Thursday, August 20th. I'm Ephraim Graham. With night 3 of the Democratic National Convention, it culminates with Kamala Harris accepting the Democratic nomination for vice president. Along the way, those delegates heard from a former president and the woman who went head-to-head against President Donald Trump in the last election cycle. CBN's Eric Phillips has more.
Accepting the Democratic vice presidential nomination became secondary as Kamala Harris made her priority introducing herself to the world in a more intimate way.
I accept your nomination for Vice President of the United States of America.
Just before uttering those history-making words, Harris acknowledged it was something her late mother would never have imagined her daughter would get to say. Harris shared a bit about her life, how she and her sister were raised by a single mother who taught them to be proud to be Black and to cherish their Indian heritage, that she graduated from an HBCU and is married with 2 stepchildren who call her Mamala. All of it leading to this moment in time, which is clear to her.
Donald Trump's failure of leadership has cost lives and livelihoods. We must elect Joe Biden.
Several issues were touched on throughout the night, along with Biden's solutions, like climate change and gun violence, with the emotional story from a mother whose teen was shot in the head.
The child that I birthed is not able to live his dreams, and that hurts.
The immigration issue told through a letter to the president from an 11-year-old whose mother was deported.
Now my mom is gone, and she's been taken from us for no reason at all. Every day that passes, you deport more moms and dads and take them away from kids like me.
So go ahead and celebrate, you rabble-rouser, you rule breaker.
Also, women's empowerment, a movement some say President Trump doesn't understand.
We know what he doesn't, that when women succeed, America succeeds.
Former President Barack Obama said he not only found a VP in Biden, but a brother, underscoring what's at stake in November.
This administration has shown it will tear our democracy down if that's what it takes for them to win. I did hope, for the sake of our country, that Donald Trump might show some interest in taking the job seriously, but he never did. What I know about Joe, what I know about Kamala, is that they actually care about every American.
This crisis is on Donald Trump and the Republicans who enable him. On November 3rd, we will hold them all accountable.
Hillary Clinton urging viewers to make sure there's not a repeat of 2016 when her name was on the ballot.
For 4 years, people have told me, I didn't realize how dangerous he was. I wish I could do it all over. Or worst, I should have voted. Look, this can't be another woulda, coulda, shoulda election.
So let's fight with conviction. Let's fight with hope. Let's fight with confidence. A long time coming, but I know change gonna come.
Kamala Harris used the term put in the work several times during her address. She said she and Joe Biden are ready to do so, but they need the American people to do so as well. And that begins at the ballot box. Eric Phillips, CBN News.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is responding to reports his state's coronavirus death toll in nursing homes could be a significant undercount. One report found New York's official elder care home death count of more than 6,600 is likely undercounted by thousands of deaths. New York is the only state that explicitly says it counts just residents who died on nursing home property and not those who were taken to hospitals and died there, whereas more states count them as nursing home deaths, even if the patient is taken to the hospital. Governor Cuomo is concerned about the deaths being counted twice. Families of those who've died and some lawmakers are asking questions about what's going on in New York's nursing homes. As CBN's Charlene Aaron reports right now, they want to know Governor Cuomo ordered nursing homes to accept COVID patients in the first place.
The official COVID-19 death toll in nursing homes across New York stands at 6,600. But that number may be far greater because the state only counts residents who died on nursing home property and not those who died after being transported to hospitals. For Fox News meteorologist Janice Dean, the stats on COVID-related nursing home deaths are personal. Earlier this year, she lost her elderly in-laws to the virus.
So coronavirus happens. We're not allowed to see them. We didn't know his dad was ill at all. We were getting updates from the nursing home, regular updates. And one Saturday morning, we get an update the end of March saying, your dad's not feeling well. And 3 hours later, they call us back and tell us he's died. His mom was in the assisted living residence. And several days later, she got ill. And she had to be brought to the hospital, and they diagnosed her with coronavirus, and she just, died a few days later.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says his state has only 20% of COVID deaths from nursing homes, compared to 68% in Pennsylvania, 64% in Massachusetts, and 44% in New Jersey. The controversy began in March when Cuomo mandated recovering coronavirus patients be placed in nursing homes. This despite the availability of the Navy hospital ship Comfort, 2,500 hospital beds set up inside the Javits Convention Center, and the field hospital set up by Samaritan's Purse. Many say the policy led to thousands of possibly preventable deaths across the state. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul wants Cuomo removed from office.
Governor Cuomo ought to be impeached for the worst public policy, public health decision, maybe in a century, sending patients with coronavirus back to nursing homes.
Despite multiple calls for an independent investigation, the governor's still refusing as recent as last week.
No, I wouldn't do an investigation. I think you'd have to be blind to realize it's not political. Just look at where it comes from and look at the sources and look at their political affiliation.
The New York State Legislature wants answers and recently invited families whose loved ones died in elder care facilities to testify. During those hearings, lawmakers also grilled State Health Commissioner Howard Zucker for failing to report the actual number of COVID deaths in nursing homes.
Your administration's definition truly misrepresents the true scale of this crisis in a nursing home. Let's try and get the full picture here and now. How many of New York's nursing home residents died in hospitals?
I'm not prepared to give you a specific number.
Meanwhile, Dean believes she was disinvited from the public hearing because of her affiliation with Fox News. Regardless, she says all the families affected deserve answers.
I would like a 9/11 style commission hearing because it's not only New York. There are several other states that did the same thing, putting coronavirus patients into nursing homes. So, listen, that's my hope. I don't know if that'll ever happen. But my argument is, Governor Cuomo, what do you have to hide?
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
There's more trouble for Pastor John MacArthur and California's Grace Community Church. Los Angeles County wants them held in contempt of court after holding a regular church service this past Sunday. County health officials say the church has repeatedly violated public health and court orders needed to slow the spread of COVID-19. But Pastor MacArthur says the church is essential. He and the church are also suing the county and the state for violating their freedom of religion and attempting to shut down their worship services. Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company has implemented a policy banning any conversations about, quote, making America great again. Now President Donald Trump is calling for Americans to boycott the brand. Trump's message comes after reports a Goodyear plant in Topeka, Kansas, showed a slide during training that Black Lives Matter and LGBT pride apparel were acceptable, but Blue Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, and MAGA attire were unacceptable. Goodyear responded to the president saying the visual in question was not created or distributed by Goodyear corporate, nor was it part of a diversity training class. A wildfire emergency is unfolding in California. Authorities call it an historic lightning siege, setting off hundreds of fires. San Francisco is virtually surrounded. CBN's Jenna Browder reports the governor has declared a state of emergency.
Firefighters are battling hundreds of wildfires in California. The fast-moving flames and the scorching heat making an awful combination. And now the emergency has turned deadly. Thousands of people ordered to evacuate.
Up and down the street, there's quite a few homes and structures that are burning right now.
Near Vacaville, northeast of San Francisco, multiple fires are tearing through communities. So far, nearly 50,000 acres scorched.
3 ambulance for burn injuries, 2 victims en route.
Many getting out just in time.
It was like the entire wall of the forest was just coming at us down the road. It was so scary.
And near Fresno, a helicopter en route for aerial support crashed, killing the pilot and sparking another fire. Officials say multiple fires have now burned into each other, creating massive spans of flames called complexes, including one near Santa Clara that's burned nearly 100,000 acres. In Napa, more than 46,000 acres have burned, and at least 2,000 homes are threatened. And near Santa Cruz, a staggering 22 fires have burned together.
Over the past 72 hours, California has experienced a historic lightning siege.
With so many blazes, resources are stretched thin.
We have no more to give on the front lines.
And there's still a long way to go. Right now, the wildfires are estimated to be about 38% contained. Jenna Browder, CBN News.
Coming up, well-being checks for Tennessee children has parents claiming the government has gone too far in the COVID crisis. But first, a look at today's trending stories at CBNNews.com.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
Meet the pastors who are preaching the gospel in a fresh, fearless way. I'm Roberto Torres-Cedillo. Join me each week for Next Gen Voices. And watch God transform a generation.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
Tennessee parents are on high alert. It comes after the state floats the idea of well-being checks for children due to the pandemic. Mark Martin spoke with conservative commentator Todd Starnes for this story.
Todd, tell us about what might happen in Tennessee with well-being checks for children.
Yeah, I'm not sure who thought this was a good idea or what they were smoking at the state capitol when they came up with this one. But the Republican administration in the state of Tennessee decided they were going to spend $1 million of our federal tax money to create well-being liaison officers. And these well-being liaison officers were going to be dispatched to every single home in the state of Tennessee to check on the wellness of every child from birth to 18 years old. Now, this was a policy that was being enacted by the Department of Education, and again, under federal money. So you folks, if you're living in Virginia or Oklahoma, you're paying for this nonsense. They were actually going to send people, these agents, to homes to interview children without their parents present to determine how well they were doing.
Have any parents responded?
Well, a lot of people have responded, and as a matter of fact, Tennessee Eagle Forum sort of led the charge here. A lot of Republican lawmakers were just as outraged because they weren't even informed. They found out about it through local media when they started picking up on these concerns from moms and dads who say this is a violation of our privacy, and this is also a flat-out attempt by the government to say they are a better parent than mommy and daddy are. So this is it's pretty frightening stuff when you think about it, because what exactly is the wellness officer going to ask the newborn to determine whether or not they're having a good day or not?
Do you think the state of Tennessee is going to go ahead and implement the program?
So look, we have some breaking good news about that. The blowback was so severe that the Department of Education has now had second thoughts. They say they are going to rescind the policy. They're going to re-examine it. We already knew they were looking at ways to edit the policy, because it also covered homeschool children as well, not just public school kids. So the good news here, and it's a lesson I just harp on every single day on my national radio show: when people of faith, when good-hearted patriots take a stand, you can facilitate change. So well done, Tennesseans.
So would you say this situation is over, or should Tennesseans and people in America still be concerned about this?
Oh no, it's never over. You gotta keep an eagle eye on these folks. This is the government we're talking about, and they believe, genuinely speaking, that they can do anything better than we can. So it's important for us to pay attention, to stay engaged in the political process. And when you see something crazy like this, you got to organize. You got to pick up the phone. You got to call your lawmakers, and you got to call the local media. You got to raise a stink. And when you do that, sometimes it's going to smell lovely.
All right, Todd Starnes, thanks for bringing us this story, sir.
Thank you.
Still ahead, understanding what's behind all the concern over TikTok and some of China's other technological advances. Stay with us.
On the home front.
Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. CBN honors the men and women in our military with an initiative called Helping the Home Front. It partners with churches across the country to meet the needs of their military families, from repairing homes to wiping out medical bills for wounded veterans.
On the Home Front, Tuesday morning at 10:30.
If you want to be an attorney with a passion for serving people and for excellence, Regent University needs to be high on your list.
Regent's award-winning law school doesn't just create lawyers. We create leaders, judges, prosecutors and defense lawyers, civil litigators, and leaders in government.
My focus has been trying to really make sure we have the future leaders we need for the bench and the bar and for society generally.
You'll learn from highly credentialed leaders who are current and former judges, distinguished scholars, and ACLJ counsel.
I'm so glad I chose Regent. The relationships here have been amazing. The faculty have been amazing. Not everybody's called to the same thing when they leave law school, but they're called by a God who has a purpose for their lives, and He is going to use that education to make a difference in the world.
Regent will prepare you to be a purpose-driven, practice-ready lawyer. To start your rewarding law career, complete the online application, submit your transcripts, and take the law school admissions test by July. Apply today.
Welcome back. The clock is ticking against the popular Chinese social media platform TikTok. President Donald Trump has given his parent company until November 12th to sell its U.S. assets if it continues operating in the United States. China expert Gordon Chang tells CBN's Gary Lane about why Americans should be concerned about China's rapid tech advances.
TikTok, people talk about it as surveilling U.S. users, and yes, it does. Apple caught it twice this year, in April and June, doing that. But also TikTok, many people believe, has been surreptitiously downloading software on user devices. And the biggest sin of all is China's manipulation of American political opinion through TikTok. TikTok has very powerful artificial intelligence. They use it to influence Americans by the videos that they see, because those are curated by algorithms that are actually developed in Beijing and then inserted into the TikTok software in the United States.
And recently I interviewed Robert Spalding at Hudson Institute. He says the greater threat from China in the future may not be a military one, but their moves to dominate global technology. Now, that's the subject of your book. How important is it for the United States to challenge China in the high-tech area?
Well, it's absolutely critical, because high technology is going to dominate the economy of the world, and we want Americans to have that technology. China's been stealing it by hundreds of billions of dollars a year of intellectual property. And so clearly Beijing feels this is important. Xi Jinping, the Chinese ruler, has his Made in China 2025 plan to dominate first 10 and now 11 critical tech sectors. So this is the space race of the 21st century.
And how about Chinese efforts, Gordon, to change the outcome of the November election? You alluded to this about influence on social media like TikTok. So how great is that effort in addition to just electronic hacking? I know the president says they could print mail-in ballots. So how likely is that?
Well, you know, China could very well be trying to mess with the infrastructure of the electoral process, because much of it is done online these days. But what I focus on is what China has been doing to manipulate opinion. So, for instance, there have been these malicious disinformation campaigns about the coronavirus and about the George Floyd protests. But also China has got its troll farms operating. So we've got all of these fake accounts. And Twitter, for instance, in June, took down 174,000 fake Chinese accounts. Other social media platforms have done the same thing. Just last week, they found another one, or they know about another one, and they actually started to move against it. That's the Splamofage Dragon operation. So China has been working very, very intensely, and they are going to be in our election much more than Russia was in 2016.
And it's not just their efforts to influence the election through public opinion, but I've got to ask you about the mistreatment of Christians in China, because that's getting worse. And the independence of the Catholic Church is almost non-existent now. There's a crackdown against house churches that's intensifying. Why now, Gordon?
Well, Xi Jinping, I guess, feels that faith is the enemy of communism. And so we have seen moves across the board. It's not just Christianity, of course. It's also Islam. And even, you know, and this is absolutely fascinating, Gary. They're going after Buddhism, which is considered to be a Chinese religion. So really what it now is a full front campaign. And I think it's because Xi Jinping believes he's got the ability to do it with his total surveillance state. And I think he feels insecure enough so that he believes that now's the time.
And something Mao never had, right? So what should we do about these China challenges, Gordon? Will it really make a difference no matter who wins the presidential election in November? Can China be stopped, or is it too late?
Oh, we can easily stop China. And the moves that President Trump has been taking recently have been extremely effective, especially the ones against Huawei and, of course, the trade issues with the Section 301 tariffs. We got to remember, Gary, that every American president tries in the first year in office to come to some sort of accommodation with Beijing. And President Trump did that in 2017. You know, if Biden were elected, and this is forgetting about how Biden feels about China, but if Biden were elected, he would be wasting months and maybe years trying to do the same thing. And right now, we don't have any moments to lose because China is relentlessly attacking us across the board. So that's the reason why this is a concern about the continuity of China policy, which, by the way, for the first time in 3 decades, is actually working to the advantage of the United States.
And a real sense of urgency now. Gordon Chang, China analyst, author of The Great U.S.-China Tech War. Thank you, Gordon. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here, sharing your insights.
Well, thank you, Gary.
And you can hear more from Gordon Chang and Lee Smith on the John Durham investigation in mail-in balloting and voter fraud on the Global Lane that begins at 9:30 Eastern on the CBN News Channel tonight. No mask in sight coming up, and how thousands splashed back into normalcy in Wuhan, China. Stay with us.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us.
Watch breaking news, exclusive stories and programs, credible news reporting.
We show you what's happening in the world and how you can pray about it.
This is CBN NewsWatch, because truth matters. Weekdays at 5 on the CBN News Channel.
Yes, right on time.
From Superbook.
Pepper's Pizza Palace is donating pizza for everyone today. Wait. I have big plans today.
Trust in God even when times are tough. He has a plan for your life.
Hey, we're gonna be late for the grand opening.
My parents want me to help with this outreach thing, feeding the community. What am I supposed to do here? Superbook!
Join the Superbook Club and get Superbook The Birth of Moses, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of only $25.
Pharaoh ordered all newborn Hebrew boys thrown into the Nile River, and I have a 3-month-old brother.
The Birth of Moses. Yours for a gift of only $25.
What will you do the next time the soldiers come? I do not know, but I trust God has a plan for all of us.
Superbook Club members, free streaming for seasons 1, 2, and 3 is now available.
Thousands gathered in Wuhan, China for a major water park party. It appears the central Chinese city has moved on from the coronavirus pandemic as people partied at an electronic music festival over the weekend. Splashing around, no social distancing, and no masks, life has gradually returned to normal for people living there since the city lifted its 76-day lockdown in early April. Wuhan has not reported any new cases since mid-May. Time now for your Thursday Thankful, and I hope you'll join me in this prayer of gratitude. Lord, in this moment, I ask for nothing. Instead, I just want to say thank you. In the middle of all that is unfolding around me, you are still God and you are still good. With this attitude of gratitude, I encourage you to make today a thankful Thursday. That is a wrap for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. I want to remind you that you can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel at any time. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. We would love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. Feel free to email us at the address right there on your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. And we'd love for you to reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Again, make it a thankful Thursday. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.